pleasant good day. Welcome back to Congress Place, Sophia, the headquarters of the People's National Congress Reform, where the party's 21st Biannual Delegates Congress is on the way. Earlier today at 9 a.m. sharp this morning, the party commenced its 21st Biannual Delegates Congress with welcome remarks from. Immediately thereafter, the party went into internal party affairs, where the leader of the party, Comrade David Granger, and General Secretary, Comrade Amna Ali's remarks were played to all of the delegates across the length and breadth of the country, which includes the North American chapter that is participating in these elections. The polls open at 11 a.m. sharp, and of course across the country, including the North American region, the delegates commenced the voting exercise. Just a few minutes ago, the CEO, the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Vincent Alexander, addressed the delegates and, of course, those officials who are officiating in the respective regions. And, of course, we did promise you that 1 o'clock today we will bring you an update from Congress Place, Sophia, as to how the voting process is ongoing across the length and breadth of the country. And, of course, we want to give you a quick imagery of what is happening at one such location, and at this time we'll take you over to Vredenhoek, region number 3, where the delegates would have commenced voting at 11 a.m. this morning, and that exercise is being conducted as smooth. As you see there, those are the delegates who would have just affixed their vote on the respective ballot paper, and they're now placing those ballot papers in the box. And if I can walk you through, if you see the gentleman there in the orange top, he is now at the desk speaking with the presiding officer. He had to present his party membership card, a national identification card, or a valid passport, or the PNCR's membership card in order to allow him status of delegate. The presiding officer then had to check the official list of delegates to ascertain that that individual is an eligible voter. His identification card would have then been shown to the scrutineers that are seated there on your extreme right of the screen, after which the presiding officer presented that delegate with 5 ballot paper. 1 ballot paper is for the post of leader. The 2nd ballot paper is for the post of chairman. The 3rd ballot paper is for the 2 vice chairpersons. The 4th ballot paper is for the party's treasurer. And the 5th ballot paper is for the 15 members of the Central Executive Committee of the party. Each delegate will be given those 5 ballot paper, in which they will proceed to the voting area and affix their votes. Immediately after, they have to place those ballot papers in 5 separate ballot boxes. And those boxes are clearly marked: 1 for leader, 1 for chairman, 1 for the 2 vice chairpersons, 1 for treasurer, and 1 for the 15 members of the Central Executive Committee. As indicated by the Chief Elections Officer, the polls open at 11 a.m. this morning and will close at 7 p.m. this evening. At all of the locations, including the North American chapter, every eligible delegate will be given that stipulated timeline to cast his or her vote. If, in event, in one of the locations, there are 2 persons who have not voted as yet, but the polls or the timing for the poll has not been closed, that polling station will remain open until those 2 persons cast their votes. If not, once the time expires, which will be 7 p.m. this evening, the polling station will close. Just to quickly repeat that for clarity, every polling station has their list of eligible delegates. Every polling station opened at 11 a.m. this morning and will remain open until 7 p.m. this evening. This is to allow every eligible delegate that opportunity to cast his or her vote for the respective posts for the party. And of course, as adumbrated by Comrade Vincent Alexander earlier today, this is indeed historic. The People's National Congress Reform will now go into the annals of history as being the first political party in Guyana's history to vote via a hybrid system, and of course use the utilization of the social media platform. As well, The participation of delegates are had from Canada, the United States, and Guyana. History in the making. And of course, we will continue to bring you those updates from Congress Place Sophia. And of course, we will show you the various locations across the country as to how the voting process is ongoing. Of course, the next update we will come to you is at 3 o'clock this afternoon, then at 5 p.m. this afternoon, then at 7 p.m. this evening, which will be the official close of the polls. Mr. Vincent Alexander did indicate that immediately after the close of poll, the tabulations will be done at the respective location. Those information from the respective locations will then be transmitted to the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Vincent Alexander, who is the only official, has the authority to make the final declaration of the results from these elections. Once again, I would want to ask the operator if he can quickly pull up that video. And for those of you who've just joined us on this live feed, we'll walk you through the process that is being had in Vredenhoek, region number 3. All right, so there you have it. This footage was taken just earlier today. And of course, you see the elderly woman there. She's placing her ballot paper in the respective ballot box. And to her right, that gentleman is speaking with the presiding officer. He would have just presented the presiding officer with an identification card. For these elections, a person must present either a driver's license, a national identification card, a valid passport, or the PNCR's membership card. You see there the presiding officer showed that card to the 3 observers who are seated to your extreme right. After those observers would have confirmed the identity of the delegate is then issued with 5 ballot papers. The 5 ballot papers are for 1, leader, 2, chairman, 3, vice chairpersons, 4, treasurer, 5, the 15 members of the Central Executive Committee. When the presiding officer presents those ballot papers to the delegate, he will then head over to the area in which he will affix his votes to those respective ballot papers, and then of course place those ballot papers in the respective box as mentioned. And of course, as mentioned before as well, at the close of poll, there will be counting at the place of polls. That information would then be transmitted to the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Vincent Alexander, who is the only person to make any declaration on the election's results. It is hopeful that very shortly after the 7 p.m., when the polls are closed this evening, that the counting will commence, and of course the results and the official declarations will be made. In closing, the People's National Congress Reform is creating history today, the 18th day of December, as it hosts its 21st Biannual Delegates Congress, a hybrid system. There are 3 countries that are participating in these congresses: Canada, the United States, and Guyana. In Guyana, there are 13 remote locations across the country. In Region 4, there are 4 locations, 1 on the East Bank, 1 in Georgetown, and 2 on the east coast of Demerara. 13 remote locations. And as we speak, all of those locations are voting simultaneously. My name is Christopher Jones, thanking you very much for viewing this update from the Congress Place Sophia, the headquarters of the People's National Congress Reform, as the electoral process is ongoing. Join me again at 3 o'clock this afternoon, where we'll bring you some more updates, and if necessary, the CEO, Mr. Vincent Alexander, with some preliminary results, if they are ready at that time. Until 3 p.m., have a pleasant rest of your day from Congress Place Sophia, the People's National Congress Reform's 21st Biannual Delegates Congress. Goodbye for now.